Hey, welcome back to my Minimax 1100r build. And I have a few housekeeping things to do, just some steps to do to move forward to the next step. One of those is getting all of these staples out of this piece, and then I have to get my flush router bit out. That was a pigeon, in case you're wondering. Then I have to get my flush router bit out and go around a portion of the tail piece. Plywood on the tail is a little bit wider than the board. A couple sections of this are just a little bit on the bottom. Actually, intentionally left that wider, so I'll hit that with the flush router as well, and then I'll get everything nice and smooth to the longerons, and then we'll be able to, because the next step will be when we start putting cross members in, is basically standing these up on like this, and which is like super cool. So yeah, so I'm gonna get these staples out of here. I'm trying to think of when 6, 12, it's been about 14 hours that this has been set like this, and I can't do my flush router unless I take them out, so yeah, so I'm going to get them out. I think it's 14 hours is fine. So while I'm doing this, the epoxy is in the warmer, getting warmed up. And if you saw my last video, I'm super happy that I took the time to make that. It's going to make mixing a whole lot better. And then the next thing I have to do is I've got to make the two UHMW bearing blocks for the control stick, and then I've got to do some layout on the table. Basically using my rail over here as one side. I just have to get all of my measurements, get a center line, just kind of get the fuselage laid out in plan view from the top looking down, even though we'll initially be building it upside down with the top of the fuselage on the table. And I'll get that layout done, snap a chalk line, do whatever I got to do, get my cross members drawn in where they're going to be, and then so when we line everything up, we make sure we're staying square, and we'll go from there. There's like a whole bunch of little steps that have to happen to get to the next bigger step, which is actually putting some pieces together. But hey, I'm sitting here chatting when I should be building. So let me get these staples out. All right, let's do that first. All right, for those of you who haven't actually seen me pull staples, I'm sure this is one of those tasks that there are lots of answers to the question of how. This is just my way of doing it that I think has it's kind of net the least amount of damage, and it just works good for me. I don't have staples flying all over the place here. And so what I do is after I take my staple puller tool, which I just picked up at Home Depot, and I kind of sharpen the edge a little bit and change the angle on it and make sure the bottom is nice and smooth, and then I rounded these edges right here, instead of having a sharp edge that digs into the plywood. It's nice to have a little round edge there. So all I do is I just slip this underneath, and then I pick up one end of the staple with my puller, and I've gone around the whole thing. And you can see all of these staples are now picked up. And then the next step is just to come along and since the Needle nose pliers are nice and round. They just come in here, and I just grab the staple, and I just rotate the plier, and out it comes. Then I just drop them in my hand, pile them up, and I can just work my way along here, and I can actually do these quite quickly. Once I get them lifted, they actually come out really fast. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that technique. That's what I do, and it works for me. Of course, Flying Cub, I know you don't staple at all unless you're just trying to hold something in place, and you would I think you said you would weight things down and clamp them. Perfectly acceptable. Cleaner for sure. And I'll come along later with some kind of thinned out Timbermate for my Australian friends here. That's my favorite filler, is a Timbermate, and I'll come along with that, and I'll actually kind of squeegee some of that out and then sand it. I'll just squeegee it into these holes basically. But you know, when you put the Varathane on, that first 50% thinned coat, it's going to go in there and seep in there anyway. So that you don't have to worry about, you know, it's the staple hole being sealed or any of that, because it'll get sealed. But I'm going to use some Timbermate anyway, just to make sure I have a nice smooth edge. So anyway, I'm going to get all these staples out, and then we'll jump to the next. All right, so I got all the staples out, and that took about 45 minutes to get all those pulled and get. I just lightly sanded after I pulled them, just to get. There's like some little splinters, little small splinters that stick up. Just got those out of the way. That's the pile of staples. How many staples does it take to build a Minimax? I believe I have gone through maybe 6,000, 7,000 staples so far. Probably take another 4,000, my guess. So we'll see. But maybe a little more than that. But anyway, who's counting, right? You just put them in and you pull them and you forget about it. So now I'm going to get the flush router out and clean up the edge of the plywood on this one, and then it'll match the other one, and everything will be nice and clean. And then we can jump to making those bearing blocks. All right, cool. All right, so I've got everything out that I need to get this. This is that bearing block that I'm talking about right here. Basically, it's got two 3/16 inch holes. It's got a 1-inch hole for the torque tube here, and I have an automatic center punch, just a fine Sharpie square 1-inch Forstner bit, 3/16 bit. That should be that should get me through this process, besides the drill press and the bandsaw, of course. But I'll draw these out and get some holes drilled, and we'll as soon as we drill the first 1-inch hole, we just want to make sure that it's a nice fit for the that it fits the 1-inch tube snugly. We don't want any play in there. So yeah, so let me get to drawing this out. Overall, it's like 2 All right, now we'll test the test our tube in there. And that is a really nice fit. So I actually had to sort of force it in. I'm guessing that the UHNW heats up a little bit and then shrinks a little bit. So now we'll drill some 3/16 holes, and then we'll be ready to mark that and cut it out. All right, those are all drilled. Back to the table. All right, so that all took me longer than I thought it was going to, but anyway, so I am actually going to do one more thing. I'm going to lay out the spar carry through, which is basically the firewall. It's not a firewall, but the station that sits right behind the seat. I'm just going to get that laid out here, and I've got a couple pieces of plywood that I've been holding back for that. So yeah, so I'll get those over here, and it's this piece right here that we're going to lay out, and then it gets backed with this other piece here, which is on the other side, and then I can show you where that fits in. Yeah, so that's station 4 right here, and you can see it's right above it here. So we've got that piece to go in, and so we got to get that made. Flip back to that. Get that laid out. It's basically notched. It's notched. You can see here and at the top to fit the longerons and everything. It's got some openings in it, which are 6 inches from the edge, which I think I can get that. I just have to make sure I can actually get that out of my. I can't. I was actually hoping I could use my drill press and use a fly cutter, but I do have access to another drill press, so I'm going to go check that out. Well, you know what they say, sometimes you get what you pay for, and with that particular tool that is the case. And I didn't pay much and I didn't get much, so it doesn't run true. I think the drill bit is wobbling, but hey, I got 3 holes cut, which was which was the goal. So 2-inch hole at the bottom, what is the equivalent of a 4-inch hole at each location at the top. Now it's just making some lines across here, straight line across the bottom, across the top, and taking the jigsaw, cutting that out. And yeah, there aren't, I think I've only got maybe one more, yeah, I think there's just one more hole to cut with that, so maybe a couple more. But either way, I can get a couple more holes out of it, but not the greatest choice. All right, so yeah, let me cut these out, and then we'll see how I'm doing on time. All right. So I got this piece all smoothed out with some sandpaper, and just except for a little corner right there. Just felt that with my finger a little bit right there. Everything else is nice and smooth on both sides. Now the next piece is actually this one, which is part of this rear spar carry through. It's 7 inches tall by 24 inches wide, and it is actually building this piece, which goes on the back like that. And it's made up of a few different components. It's got some RS-12 3 5/8 pieces of RS-12, 2 of those, and then it's also got some RS-5 on the in 3 different locations on the very top, and then the other 2 spots. So I'm going to get the whole thing assembled before I actually notch everything. I'm just going to notch everything all at once when it's all sandwiched together. So I'll just mark this out, and then I'm actually going to be out of time today, but I'll at least get this marked out. Maybe if I feel like I have another 15 minutes or so, I might go ahead and cut it to this shape right here. Looks like it's 5/8 on the bottom, and then at 3 5/8 over, it comes up to 4 3/4 down. You just have to work through all that. But let me get it marked out, and then I'll see if I've got some RS-12, which is, according to our sheet here, 3/4 by 1.5 inches. I don't know if I have any 3/4 by 1.5 inches, but I'll take a look. If I don't, I can definitely cut a piece. So, all right, let me get this marked out. All right, so I got that piece cut out. It looks like that. And this is actually the location where it goes, is right here. And that way it clears kind of clears the hole there. And I did have some 3/4 by 1.5. So these actually end up being where the rear spar carry through bolts through here. Of course, this will be under here like that. But yeah, so that's all the time I have today, and I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me and checking out the video. I hope you're enjoying it. And I didn't get to epoxy anything together today, but both of the side panels are ready to go. Once we get this carry through done, then we'll actually be in a position to start putting some things together. It's good we got the UHMW blocks. I've got them slipped on the tube here, so those are together, which is great because those will get centered up, and the holes will need to be match drilled. Then I'll have to mark which one is forward, which one's aft, and I'll keep the lines to the rear, and that way I'll know the orientation. Yeah, so hey, as always, I'll catch you later.